Okay. All right. All right. Who wants to share some good news?
I'll share some good news.
All right.
I've been taking Ignite. It's coinciding with my productivity. Um, I just thank God for all the Keller Williams support. I feel a lot better. My foundation is getting a lot better. I still have a lot more to catch up on, so I've time blocked this whole month and extremely time blocked this whole weekend just to continue to catch up. But I wanted to say thank you too for that. And I've been talking to a lot of people. When I have my database, I just have to implement it in the computer,
Yep.
but it's looking really good.
Awesome. That's fantastic news. Good stuff. Make sure that if you're not using a form like the daily success tracker, that
You only
you
get a break.
are using some form, something like that, something where you're keeping track of your contacts and your appointments and the people that you're adding to your database and those that you're adding to your
You can
pipeline.
get on that couch and lay down.
Right. Yeah, I did the like the little notepad like you told me. So then I can but I do have the daily success tracker too.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So who else wants to share some good news?
Hey, Bill, I'll share.
All right. Go ahead.
I had a showing yesterday for a rental in Roswell, and the question kept coming up about lease to own.
Yep.
And I was thinking about it, and then I realized that I had taken the course for the Home Partners of America,
Yeah.
and but I guess I didn't get certified yet. So I went ahead and got certified last night and sent my client the the link for the Home Partners of America. So hopefully I can have a closing through Home Partners of America where they can lease to own. So it was a pretty good tool that I actually forgot about that it just dawned on me. So I think it would be good for everybody to take a look at it and probably be a way to still get paid for a closing with people renting a home.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. So with them, do you get paid the 3% when they ultimately close, or do you get paid a portion of it when they move into the rental?
No, you get paid the full whatever's listed on the FMLS. They pretty much do a cash. They would do a cash offer to the sellers, so you still get paid a full commission. You just
Okay, and
at that
whether
point you represent Home Partners of America versus
yeah.
representing the buyer.
Yeah, that essentially solves one of the biggest problems with rent to own, which is and still something that I highly recommend that you have a very detailed conversation with your clients on. Okay, because the vast majority of lease purchases do not work. And the reason they do not work is a couple of reasons. Number one is the person, there may be a difference in what they could afford from renting and what they could afford from buying. Like, for example, they may be able to afford the rental rate, but they might not be able to afford the buying rate. And they don't kind of put that together. They also might be able to afford let's say a $300,000 home today when the interest rate is 3%. But if in 2 years when they go to buy it, the interest rate is 5%, they may not be able to afford it anymore. They also may move into a home and realize it's in the wrong part of town, or it's in the wrong school district, or it's, they don't like the layout, or, they ultimately decide it's not for them. One of the bets that the buyer/tenant is doing in a lease purchase is basically assuming that number one, they will like the home in the future. Number two, they can afford the home in the future. And number three, it'll still be a great opportunity, right? It's still a great price. So oftentimes you see a lot of lease purchases in markets where the values are escalating rather than declining, right? Because if you agree to a sales price today and the market's, shifts, and now all of a sudden a $300,000 home's worth 280, they're under contract to buy it for 300. So that they're not.
They actually give them a guaranteed purchase price within like year 1 through 5, so that you will know exactly how much the purchase of the home will be.
Yeah, and that's well, that doesn't surprise me, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that price will be the best price possible. Right. So even if they say, hey, we will sell you this home for 300, I mean, that's part of a lease purchase, is you gotta know the purchase terms, right? but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be worth 300 or that that's going to be the best opportunity for 300 in the market at that time. So that's cool. I'm glad you got certified. There's definitely people that fit that need. My only recommendation would be make sure that tenant or that your client knows exactly what they're agreeing to. There are many ways that could not go in their favor. Okay. And oftentimes a lot of times when people say they want a lease purchase, and you would say, well, tell me more about that. They say, oh, my credit needs improvement. That's like 3 red flags in a row, right? Because we don't know what's going to change with the lending world. And today, all they may need to do is, pay off a little credit card debt. But if they don't buy for 2 years, the lending standards could be totally different in 2 years. And we don't actually know if the recommendations are going to be helpful, right? And we don't know if the recommendations are going to happen as quickly as we thought they were going to be. And there's oftentimes a lot of money that's put out there in the form of earnest money or security deposit that is far more than what you would typically see, and non-refundable if they don't buy. So that is a realm that is full of people that do not work with the level of integrity that we all work with. Cool. All right, I think I'm off my soapbox. Who else wants to share some positive news?
I'll share something.
All right.
Good morning, everybody. So I didn't realize before that, with the Cole Realty, that we could get neighborhoods. Because anyway, it doesn't matter. Because before, when I had gotten the list, it was like by one address, and it was, it was just like a big, radius. So, I found out that we could get neighborhoods, which was awesome, so that I could target. So I asked Luth for a few neighborhoods, and so I used the reverse prospecting based on a buyer, and a few different areas that I've shown them. And so I called. I was targeting one neighborhood in particular, and I got somebody who they called me back. I left a message. I basically felt like I was just leaving messages into a black hole, but I know that's just the way it goes. Right. So, but I got a call back, and they are, so I'm meeting with them today, and I'm going to be previewing their home to see if it would be working, it might work for my client, but also they don't have any representation for the home that they're looking for. So I'm going to be trying to get in for that as well. So yay.
That's beautiful. So that we see so often that is the case. That's awesome news. And really, just a tip on leaving messages, especially cold messages, is generally the vaguer we are, we increase the chance of getting a call back. So we say, hey, this is Corey with Keller Williams. I got a quick question about your house. I can be reached at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're like, I wonder what she wants to know. Like, is something okay with my house? And they'll be more likely to call back. If you're like, hey, this is Corey Howard. I'm new to Keller Williams, and I got this list for my coach, and like he said to say this stuff, and like I might want to, like, this is a cold call, right? Like, that's going nowhere, right? So the vaguer you are, the more likely you are to get a call back. Did you want to, Kathy? It looked like you were reaching over to unmute yourself.
No, I don't have my earplugs, and my husband is in the other room. And it was a little too loud. I was just turning it down.
Awesome. Great job, Corey. Great job. Okay, let's do just a tiny bit of housekeeping, and then we will move right into our the nuggets for today. Okay, so today from 12 to 1, we are going to have Elena Corbett with us. She is a was on the ALC last year. She had, I believe, one of her best years ever this past year. Her husband came on board, and they have lots to share. I'd love to introduce you guys to her, and we get a chance to hear her story. It will be recorded as normal, so we can hear it in the future as well. I am teaching a class for the Market Center today from 1:30 to 3 on the GPS and the 411. So if you'd like some more help with the GPS and the 411, or you just want to hear the message again, or you want some more examples of how to fill it out and how to know if it's accurate and helpful, feel free to join. That'll be on the KW Roswell training Zoom now, kwroswelltraining.com. That's from 1:30 to 3. And as a result, I have to cut the launch mastermind short just a little bit. That will be from 1 to 1:30. Okay. Next week, I don't know if this is going to happen, but maybe if I say it, the session today is from 1:30 to 3. I don't know if I say it, maybe this will increase the likelihood of it happening, but I am chatting with my coach, my MAPS coach, and she has agreed to be a Success Series interview. I'm trying to make it happen for next Friday. She's one of the top PC coaches in the country, and she's served in a number of leadership roles within Keller Williams, and I just think it'll be interesting for you guys to hear from her. And obviously she's coached coaches, and she's also coached agents, and I think that'll be a pretty cool opportunity. So I'm aiming for next Friday for the Success Series on that. So that's 12 to 1. Keep that open if you can. Okay. I forgot to ask you guys, who had some success from the Bold 100? Does anyone have like a new mindset around making the calls, and did anyone have, add some people to their database? Did anyone pick up a new person in the pipeline? Anyone set any appointments? Who had some fun?
That's what I was discussing at the beginning when I was
Awesome.
talking about my new database and everything. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else?
My appointment came from that as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, mine did too. I had a call back from the Bull 100 the following day, and yeah, it's a possible listing presentation. I had a really good conversation, looking at a list, and I'm gonna probably pop by next week for a listing interview.
Wait. Tell us a little bit more about that. Who was the person you called? How did all that happen?
Oh, it was just I do the usual cold calling, and I just amped it up a little bit. Didn't get a Bull 100. I think it was more like a Bold 86. I think I worked out with.
Damn,
but
John, that's awesome.
not bad. It was 86 more than 3 months ago, and and one person called me back, and he said that he's looking to, that he wants to list his home. Do you have an agent? Yeah, well, we kind of sort. He was hemming and hawing, and I just went at it. I said, hey, I'd love, do you know about the market? This is what's going on. This is what your options are. Had a great half-hour conversation. I'd love to stop by, just to give you a second opinion, just to give you another, another thought on your options, and you have something to compare to. And he said, great, we'll see. Didn't nail down the appointment exactly, but definitely, there was interest there, and I'll follow up.
Awesome. Don't forget, I don't know if you said it this way or you didn't say it this way now, but remember, a better way to ask the question about finding out if they have an agent is to say, who is your agent?
Well, yeah. I say, and are you current? I say, well, I say, do you have a trusted agent that
Right.
you?
When it comes to real estate, who do you trust?
Okay.
Because if they say there is a difference between what you and I are saying, because it's great that it worked. I'm not telling you didn't do a good job, but it could have gone the other way, which is you say, well, do you have a trusted agent? And the dude's busy and he knows you're cold calling him and he doesn't feel like dealing with you. He'll just say yes. And then there's not a lot of ways you can get around that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
If you say, so when it comes to real estate, who do you trust, or who is the agent that you're currently working with? They're going to stumble all over themselves.
You can't just be a simple yes, no, just a simple yes, just a simple yes to get out of it. They have to come up with a name. Or
they're going to be like,
yeah.
And then that it's not that strong, clearly.
Yeah. That's
Right?
right.
It's like, honey, hey, what was that woman's name that
Yeah.
we worked with?
Yeah,
Right?
if you don't know
Like
that, yeah.
they're just flat out not going to know.
Then I've got
right.
an opening.
So look to rephrase some of your close-ended questions or yes or no questions with who, not
Who do you
do.
have? Good. Thank
Make
you.
sense? All right. That, I mean, guys, that when I first learned that, man, that was game changing. Okay. Okay. Great job, you guys.
I have
Great
something real
job.
quick.
Travis, yeah.
I did a lot of Facebook kind of like blast out yesterday, and I started talking to a lot of people from my hometown. My hometown's from it's 2 hours away.
Okay.
So what should I do when I start talking to some of my old friends that I haven't spent years since I talked to them? When some of it got brought up yesterday about real estate because they saw the real estate blast, everything go out. I plan to do some more on that. Where should I go if I start getting into conversations with people? Because I can't drive, 2 hours down the road every day to see them. Like, what avenue should I take when they're interested?
Great question. Let's spend a second on that. So that is a perfect opportunity to build a referral network, right? So what city is it? What town is it?
It's LaGrange.
Okay, great. So LaGrange. I don't think we have a KW office down there, but that's fine. Okay. I would Google LaGrange, Georgia, LaGrange Realty or LaGrange Real Estate. Let's figure out who works in that area or who the big players are down there. I wouldn't go necessarily to the biggest player because they probably already have somebody in Atlanta.
I've heard the two brothers who run that town, and they're so backed. Everybody wants to sell the house to these two brothers, and they're backed up because their reputation is so good. So I wouldn't go to them. I don't even know them.
Well, it's finding you have to find a balance between somebody that's a great agent and somebody that might actually have the possibility of helping your business, right? So if you go to I never understood why people were like, who knows an agent in LaGrange? And they're like, oh yeah, send the business to Sarah. Well, Sarah already knows somebody in Atlanta. How is that going to help you? Right?
Right.
There's other good agents, right? So I would call some of the local offices down there and say, look, I'm looking for somebody that loves working with home buyers, first-time home buyers, and I want a leader in your office. Don't give me the person on desk duty. Give me a leader in your office. No offense. We'll all get past desk duty at some point. It's cool. Okay. I want a leader in the office. And when you get on the telephone with that guy, say, look, I have a lot of contacts in your town. Right. And I suspect that you got people that are, moving to and from Atlanta, and that's a far drive for you too. So I was just curious, are you looking for new business? Are you taking on new clients?
Okay.
That's like saying, do you plan to eat today? Right. That's like an intelligence test. Right. Of course, they're going to say yes. To which you say, hey, I was curious, would you like to be referral partners? Right. So now you've got a great resource down in LaGrange. And he has somebody in Atlanta that he can send business to. So it can be a win-win, right? Now, to piggyback on that idea, it doesn't necessarily even have to be your hometown, right? You could call somebody and say, hey, maybe Charleston or Nashville or Chattanooga or Birmingham or Memphis or LA or wherever, right? We know people that are moving all over the place all the time. Hell, my job is to be on the phone with buyers and sellers all day long. There's a chance I will find somebody that could help you in the future. Is that fair to say? Hey, are you taking on new clients? I was curious. Would you like to have a referral relationship? How can I support your business right now? So instead of Travis Vitale trying to tell the world that you can help people do real estate, now you got all these different people in all these different places across the country that are trying to scream your name to everyone. You see what I'm saying?
I do. Kind of like, if you send them business, they'll be definitely willing to send you business back when that comes up. You're the first person on their list.
You would hope so.
Yeah.
But we've heard Gene Rivers say things like, Gene Rivers will send the home inspector probably 200 home inspections a year. Now, I'm not expecting Gene's probably not expecting that the home inspector is going to send him 200 buyers a year. But if I sent somebody 200 pieces of business a year, and I didn't get many referrals from them, I'd pull them aside and said, hey, I was just reviewing my notes and it looks like I sent you approximately 231 clients last year. And according to my notes, I got one opportunity from you. That's not acceptable. So how should we proceed from here? Right? It's not like you're like holding them ransom. It's that I'm looking for the win-win here and I'm not seeing it. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
So don't be afraid. There's lots of vendors out there. Don't be afraid to have a tough conversation with them if necessary. Okay. In my opinion, that goes for lenders too. I've sent lenders hundreds and hundreds of deals, right? And I got, you know, her listing. But if I didn't, boy, I'd have a conversation about her. Hey, hey, I noticed you sold your home and I didn't get an interview. And according to my notes, I've sent you 300 buyers in the last 10 years. Am I missing something? Right? We got to be tough. Y'all think I'm crazy? Kathy, do you agree with me?
Completely. Yep.
It's funny, your volume is so loud and Travis, this is so soft. So I keep having to go back and forth with my. All right. Thank you guys for bringing up those questions. Anytime, like, look, I know we're all in the business. We're all trying to figure out how to do a bunch of stuff. So I hope that you guys don't mind that a topic like lease purchase pops up or a topic like referrals pops up. And I hope you get some value from a little tip and strategy here and there. What can I do to help you guys with setting expectations? What type of expectation setting issues are you having?
In regard to what, like the coaching program?
Oh, no. I mean, if you want to talk about that, we certainly can, I suppose. But I was talking more in with respect to like, are you finding like your clients are not listening very well? They're running all over you, that they're fighting you on,
Right.
you know, paperwork or writing offers or urgency or, you know, dealing with the you know, the realities of the marketplace. Like I was speaking with, I don't think she's on today. I was speaking with somebody yesterday, and our agent is working with a buyer that is like, I think they're seriously in like a time capsule thinking it's 2011, right? And there's a lot of stuff that needs to be sorted out there so that this gentleman can be successful. And so we were working through some of that language, right? Hey, you got to say this, you got to do this, you got to show them this is what you got to say, etc. So what type of have you come across an objection from a buyer or seller about getting an appointment or on an appointment? Anything in particular you guys want to talk about?
I would love to talk about, here all the time, we don't want to list, there's nowhere to go.
Yep.
There's so few houses on the market. Why would I sell my house? And that is over and over again what we're hearing.
Yeah, so the first thing that pops in my mind is the knock program, right? So having that in your back pocket, it's not going to fix everything. It's not going to address every single situation, but at the very least, it will offer a unique opportunity to your prospect and they will know that you are a resource, right? Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work for them. As we know, the knock certification is free. And it's very quick. You can do it within a couple days. It's just an hour or two, I think, online. And in a very, very quick summary of what that program is it allows you basically get a loan through knock to buy the new home without selling the old home. So I know that's not necessarily the challenge, whether they have the equity or don't have the equity. It solves that too. But more importantly, what it does is it doesn't create a mandate that, like, let's say you list the home, it goes under contract and you've got a week or so to find a replacement home. And then you end up picking from the scraps of whatever happens to be available, or you end up getting lousy terms on a home because you had to fight 50 other buyers, right? This allows you to kind of lay low, and when you find the right home, you can be aggressive without having to have the weight of your sale causing any additional stress.
That was precisely what opened up the conversation with the callback, because he said, I know it's a hot market, and I told him how hot it was. That was his concern, exactly, about selling his house so quickly. I have a program. Let me tell you all about it. And that was a good part of our conversation also. And that was something he didn't know about, and that definitely piqued his interest.
Well, you didn't know about it because it's not being widely spread right now. And that's some of the power that we have using this unique tool, right? So that's one option. At the heart of the matter is, Greta, is why do they want to move, right? So we got to flush out their motivation, right? If they just kind of want a little bit bigger of a home, or in the next 10 years they're going to want to master on the main or something like that, they're not motivated. That's not going to be probably a really hot lead for you. But if, like, the husband is working in Chicago and the wife is hanging out waiting for the house to sell, that's a different story, right? So we got to flush out their motivation, because the question is you have a desire, and there's some risk and headache involved in executing this plan. Now, is the desire so strong that you're willing to put up with this? If the answer is yes, then we can introduce various options of temporary housing and the knock program, and renting in between, and some of these kind of things, if the motivation is strong enough. If the motivation is not strong enough, that's not really an objection, that's a condition that you're not going to be able to change a whole lot, right? So if they say, like, does that make sense, Greta?
It does. I think I'm just, in the process of doing the cold calls. I've yet to find someone who's motivated to sell, put it that way. It's more like, why are you calling me? Why would I even consider this? That kind of thing, which makes it, maybe how do you disengage? So.
Well, if they kind of give that attitude, I might try the opposite of, do you want to sell? Which is, well, I work every day to bring value to my home buyer clients and my home seller clients. So one last question before I let you go. If you love your house and you intend to stay there forever, when was the last time you refinanced? Because you could probably save a few $100s a month, I would suspect. Have you looked into that?
Yeah.
Right. And then that is completely opposite of an aggressive sales cold call, right? That is, I'm here to save you money, and I like helping people. So is that something you've investigated?
That's another good question. How do you relay that this is strictly to help you? I'm not benefiting. I think people then think, oh, you're going to get a kickback, because they are always thinking, what's in it for you? Why are you doing this for me? There's a skepticism when someone you don't know calls you. Yeah. How do you?
I am on the telephone all day working on behalf of my home sellers and my home buyers, trying to add value to them. The reason I'm calling you today was on behalf of a home buyer, to see if you or someone was interested in selling. If that's not the case, then another thing that I can do to help you is to just bring up the topic of, have you investigated refinancing, right? And you can, in the conversation, you could imply that like, I'm not saying use my guy so I get a kickback. I'm simply asking you if you've investigated it, right? And we don't get kickbacks anyway. That's illegal, right?
I know that, but they don't know that. Is my point. Is that they trust you with a wall.
Even if they say, if I could save you $300 on your mortgage,
who cares? And
then somebody wrote me a check for $500, wouldn't you be cool with that? So it's almost like I'm not saying obviously I've never done that. Okay. But I'm saying, like, even if somebody gets a referral fee, they still got what they want. Look, I don't need you to go refinance. I'm just simply asking if you thought about it, right? I'm trying to add value to you, right? I assume if you have a trusted advisor as a real estate agent, they've probably brought that up to you. Is that not the case? Wait, your trusted advisor has not discussed with you the opportunity in the marketplace to refinance? Wow. what's your email? I want to send you a 3-way email introduction to one of my preferred lenders. And there's no cost, no obligation. And if it works for you and saves you money, great. If it's not a match, that's fine too. I'm just here to bring value.
Right.
Right. Look, you're gonna get a jerk every once in a while. Just brush it off.
Okay.
But most people are gonna be, when you speak with the right tone and you're like, look, I'm trying to help you. Right. If I'm not going to walk you through the entire little process, I'm talking about if you've thought about it, have you considered it, right? So setting expectations. Let me make one comment before we end. Is I feel like there was something else I wanted to talk to you guys about. Is it what's going on at? Oh, I know what it was. At 9:30 today. Robin is doing the what is she calling it?
90 Days to Greatness.
Will you please get on that call? You have my permission to take 30 minutes off of lead generation. Please get on that call. Okay, thank you. One quick thing about expectation setting is you're going to be best at setting expectations when you know the market really well. Okay, when you study the market. When you understand what you can get in Sandy Springs for 600 grand and you understand what you can't get, right? When you understand the market trends, when you know how fast homes are selling, when you understand how to help a buyer in a multiple offer situation, right? A lot of times you have to shift the way a client is thinking because they enter this relationship thinking that you may not have their best interest at hand and you just want a commission check. That's why you got to use a lot of the we, us, together language, right? So they understand that, look, I'm not on the other side of the table. I'm on your side of the table, right? I'm not trying to figure out a way for you to overpay for this home. If you don't like this home, let's get in the car. I don't want you to buy a home you don't like, right? And sometimes you have to say it that way so that they truly understand that you're not trying to screw them over, right? But expectation setting is saying a statement like, hey, just so you know, you're buying a home for $275. According to my research here, about 50% of the homes will sell at list price or above list price. I'm curious, how do you feel about that? Rather than saying that and saying, so you're gonna have to pay list price, right? Or you better pay list price or I'm not gonna work with you. No, you're saying, how do you feel about that? Share your emotions with me. If we were to find the perfect home and you ended up having to pay over list price to get it, and you were in a multiple offer situation, there's more than one buyer at the same time trying to buy the home, would you feel comfortable in that situation, assuming I was going to guide you through and make recommendations the whole time? Would that be okay? And they're like, well, yeah, if you're with me, I'm sure you'll give me good advice. Great. So all I need you to do is sign here, and this will create a client relationship between us. Would you prefer to use blue ink or black ink, sir? And they'll laugh, and I'm like, no, I'm serious. So you prefer to sign it on DocuSign? Is that what it is? Right? That makes sense?
Yes.
It's also important to say things like, hey, just another thing is, I would say a question like, so the average buyer that I work with will look at about 6 to 8 homes before they make their decision. How do you feel about that? And they'll say, God, thank God, I'm hoping you could just take me right to what I asked for. You are going to listen to me, right? I'm like, I love you. This is awesome, right? Or they could say, no, I was thinking about 10 homes today and 10 more tomorrow and 10 more the next day. It's like, I think I got a referral for you. You see what I'm saying? So you're going to be able to gauge how great of a partner this person's going to be, right? Say, hey, we've got around 1 month of supply. So I need you to understand that like there probably won't be a lot of time to see a great home and then think about it and bring your cousin over to see it and bring your aunt over to see it. There just won't be a whole lot of time for that. If we see what we like, we got to take really, really quick action. Are you prepared to do that? Right? So you're testing the waters on a lot of these questions because you want a cooperating partner, right? So listen, today, when there's no stress and we're not trying to write an offer and there's no deadlines, I'm going to walk you through the contract. I'm going to help you make sure you understand how you're protected, right? And what your options are and what to do first and what to do next and all the other people that are going to be involved. I'm going to walk you through all that right now. But when we see a home, it's go time. How do you feel about that? Right? And you're really testing the waters to see, hey, am I dealing with somebody that's going to be a pleasure to deal with? Or am I dealing with somebody that's going to fight me every step of the way? Right? Remember, there's virtually no problem in real estate that cannot be overcome with having more opportunities, right? So if you are establishing or attempting to establish expectations with somebody and you're getting a lot of resistance, you are not mandated to work with that person, right? Many people as I've said 100 times, many people hang on to a poor client because they have a lack of prospects. And why do they have a lack of prospects?
Lack of lead generation.
Lead
Yeah,
generation.
a lack of prospecting, right? You get prospects from prospecting, okay? So if you're hanging on to your one like mediocre qualified, mostly jerk bigot that lives way outside of the area that you're comfortable in, go get you some new leads so you don't have to worry about that guy anymore. Does it make sense? Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, comments on expectation setting?
I talked yesterday with, I reached out to a Facebook person that I found on a board. She's up in New York, and I thought that they were moving here to buy, but turns out they want to rent.
Mhm.
So, and I spoke with her. So, thankfully the rent amount is, a higher amount. So they're up to like 3,500 is their max.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, but they want a 5-bedroom. They want a lot of space, but so, I mean, for that price point, we might be able to find something. But setting expectations about, she said because the job is not secured yet, but it's likely, and they would have to be here within 30 days. So once they get the offer, they would come down like the next weekend, and she's hoping I would show them like 8 to 10 places. I don't know that there are going to be 8 to 10 available for the rental market, given the state of the market.
I'll show you 8 to 10 properties and buy you a steak. Come on. That's a $600,000 buyer.
Bring it on.
Well, they don't want to buy though. She said, we do not want to stay.
I don't care. If you can afford that, you got friends that can afford that. I want to know you, period.
Yeah.
And trust me, Corey, speaking from experience, I'm sure she knows or they know a lot of other people who want to come down from New York.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Believe
So
me. I'm sure they know other people.
She's talked to a lot of people, but that was kind of my gut. I was like, I said, I'll show you. She said, some people said that they wouldn't show homes, or, I said, well, I'll show you some homes. I'll do it. And so, yeah.
I mean, you could even create a little doubt there, be like, wait a second, did I hear that right? You've spoken to a realtor who's not willing to help you? Did I hear that right? Right.
Right.
You get them smiling a little bit and you say, I'd love to help you. I'd love
right.
to. And then
Yeah.
in the course of your conversations, you could say something like, hey, I would, no pressure here, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you, have you looked into purchasing, or is that just totally off the table? Right. And let them respond. Say, hey, let me show you, if you were to use this budget to buy, this is the type of property that you could get. Is that worth exploring or no?
Right.
And any answer is fine. You're just doing your job.
What kind of home a $3,500 payment can get you?
Great.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the taxes
at a
and where
2 and
you are,
change mortgage.
you're looking at borrowing probably $550,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. Plus,
2
people are going to put
3/4%.
down 20%. You're in the 6s or 7s for a property like that,
Right.
right? What part of town do they want to be in?
Well, she said Marietta, she thinks, but
Find a palace there.
yeah. And so I said, well, let me just find out a little bit more. Like, what do you want? Like, what are you thinking about the neighborhood? And, like, but anyway, she said that she had been on all these boards and that there were all these discussions about how each of the neighborhoods were like had different feels and moods and or maybe not neighborhoods, but parts of East Cobb versus West Cobb. And she mentioned the word hoity-toity, like East Cobb, because I said, well, I'm in East Cobb, but I'm in the west part of East Cobb. I said, I mean, I try to make a joke out of it with her. And and she's like, yeah, it's also so confusing because I don't know this area. I said, well, I'd be happy to, tell you what I know. And, oh, and by the way, for the going back to the bold and the calls that I was making to the, the neighborhoods
Yeah.
with the messages, because that's kind of what you're getting is a lot of, you're not getting a lot of people picking up. I position myself as I said, I'm a local Marietta realtor.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I said I'm a local Marietta realtor and I have some buyers who are looking in your neighborhood. So, if you or somebody in your neighborhood who's looking to sell, call me back.
I think that's a little too much, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't know anyone, so I won't bother calling her. I'd say I got some buyers in your neighborhood and I got a question for you. Call me.
Okay. Got a
Right.
question for
That's
you.
like, oh my gosh, is like something wrong with my house?
Right.
Call this woman. She's a local agent. Maybe she knows. But if you're
Right.
like, hey, if you know somebody or if you want to move, call me. If she doesn't know anyone and she doesn't
Little
call, she's
fitting.
actually obeying you. Right?
Right.
What you want her to do is call. I don't care if you have a buyer or not. I want you to call.
Right. That's your point about being vague.
Right. Right. I mean, you're not being misleading. I do have a question for you. I just don't want to ask it over the voicemail.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's really good. I appreciate all the back and forth today, guys. At the end, it is simply all about finding out how to get into a relationship with these people and how to serve them, right? And the more questions you ask, the more you're going to discover about whether they're going to be a pleasure to work with or not. And remember that, I actually said this to somebody yesterday. They were asking me some questions about like, should I keep this person in my database or should I add this person to the database? And as I said to him, I said, let me ask you a question. What if that person went and bought a home and in a couple of months they posted online that they bought a home and had a bad experience with the agent they used, which by the way, most of the time they're going to have a bad experience with the agent they use because the average agent isn't that great, okay? And doesn't care as much as you care. So more often than not, a consumer is going to have a mediocre experience with a real estate agent. So if you got wind that they had a mediocre experience with a real estate agent, maybe they left some money on the table, or maybe they had to have a contract that didn't protect them as well as they should have been protected, or something of that nature, would that bother you? And if it would, then you better call them. And you better tell them the way that you operate your business. Because if you don't, they could end up in the hands of a weak agent at a weak moment. And that's not going to be a win for anybody. Does that make sense? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? They say, hey, I just married a realtor. Okay, great. I'll take you off my database then. Maybe. Make sense? I appreciate your smile, Donna. See, if I can see you guys, then I know whether you're smiling at my dumb jokes. All right. I'll see you guys at 12 o'clock today. Have a great one.
All right,
Thanks,
you.
Bill.